Okay, once again, like I said, Friday, March 14th, 2014, followed up with Mr. Yamaguchi at the Chief of Police, 850 Bryant. And it is now 10:13. Okay, so he's ushering me into a room. Oh, hello. Okay, well, I'm a little confused as to why I'm being ushered into a room, but that's okay. I mean, I'm appreciative of it. I just don't understand why, I haven't been afforded this luxury before, like having come down so many times to see the Chief of Police and to follow up. Remember our premise: respect, compassion, and honesty.
Mr. Garza, you keep doing this to me as if I'm not aware of what our policy is. I'm well aware of what it is. I'm here to help you. I think I've gone.
I have not negated that. I have not negated that.
Why would you continue to say that?
Because it's the truth, sir. The truth is that this is the first time I've been afforded any civility whatsoever, having come down here repeatedly. If you'd like to deny that after having watched the videos, you're more than welcome to do that.
I can only deal with what I've done for you. I can't speak to any contact you've had with anyone else. I can speak about Tad.Yamaguchi and how I've dealt with you and what our policies are.
And so do you understand how much of a false hope that is? Because basically by you saying that you're doing what's correct doesn't disacknowledge that everybody else in the past hasn't.
I don't know that.
It's on the video,
okay,
sir.
Again,
so I'm
the
sure
video is
you are watching the videos,
you're saying
correct?
that you're
maltreatment
of it. Okay.
Yes.
So what are we here for today? The second half of the complaint, is that right?
No, we're still following up. I mean, about me giving a statement at OCC.
And I spoke to Mr. Erick Baltazar, and I called him and asked him about you videotaping. Their policy is that there's no videotaping allowed. There is an audio tape that can be taken. So you can do your statement with OCC and have an audio.
And we've already spoken about this not affording me due process because I want to be able to do it with the video in the public place.
Their policy is that not...
Does that supersede my rights to have them perform correctly?
Their policy is to...
Does that supersede my rights?
Okay, Mr. Garza, I cannot force them as far as their policy.
So if they have an incorrect policy that negates my ability for them to investigate...
How does that negate your ability?
How does it negate my ability? Well, if I'm allowed to audio tape according to them, which of course is not in my possession, then becomes in their possession, which you've informed me.
You can have a copy of that audio
only
tape.
Through discovery. However, let's get back...
Still...
Regardless, I want a videotape. I'm the person seeking the public services. Why am I not being allowed to give my statement so that they can proceed if they're interested in catching the perps?
You can proceed.
So they can
tape.
So they can come out and take my...
By audio tape.
So they can come out and take my statement in a public place with me videotaping.
By audio tape.
Sounds like a Hobson's choice set up to fail, sir.
Okay.
It's not okay.
How else can I assist you?
Well, you
obviously
can explain
I can't
to me.
Assist you
you
with
can
that.
explain. No, that's not true. We're once again dealing with honesty, and if I'm pointing out that the system is rigged to fail, how honestly are you helping me when I'm pointing out that this system is deliberately set to fail? Why are they not taking...
I have no idea. Why not ask the director of OCC that question?
Oh, I have those videos, and I've been escorted out.
And the director of OCC said?
I've been escorted out, not given the answer. So now, do I take you down there so that when I ask again, they won't, come up with some bogus thing and have me escorted out?
But asking me to go there with you is not going to get you that answer.
It's not.
I've already called them on your behalf and asked them.
And you haven't gotten the answer, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Which was, why
tape.
am I not allowed?
Audio tape.
That wasn't the question. I want to be allowed, and I have you on video asking them that I want to be able to give my statement in a public place and videotape.
On an audio tape.
No, that's not.
So you don't want to do it by video. You don't want to do it by audio. You only want to do it by video.
Correct, in a public place where I'm allowed to, not disallowed by law. What law did they quote you that disallows me that opportunity to present them with the evidence that I have?
They did not say that they won't accept your complaint. They will be happy to accept your complaint.
But not take my statement and follow up because
they will take your statement as well.
In a public place with me videotaping.
Audio tape is what they're saying.
See, that's not what I'm requesting. Once again,
what you're requesting and what they're willing to do are two separate things.
That's correct. And whether what they're willing to do is legal and not a violation.
Why not, if you want this to proceed, why not just do the audio tape?
Good question, sir. Why not afford me my rights and allow me to give them my statement in a public place so that I can videotape. I can ask you the same question back.
Sure.
I'm the citizen.
Sure.
I'm the person who's been disafforded, whatever I'm going in to complain about, and it's my rights that have been broken. And for them to set up a system that disavows me of my rights, excuse me, let me finish, is not an honest procedure. Regardless of whatever policy or rules they may have set in place to circumvent my rights and everything else, it is not correct. So, as a law enforcement officer, with, the safe zone guys, I should be able to go in.
You're in a safe zone here.
I'm in a safe zone being fed.
I have no control.
I am in a safe zone being fed into a cattle chute, into a rigged system that's unaccountable and that doesn't have to answer simply because they can hide behind policy and circumvent my legal rights, which is not a safe zone. I should still be afforded my legal rights, and you should still be able to enforce my legal rights and me seeking them. Correct or incorrect?
I can't make OCC allow you to videotape.
But you can also go in with me, and when I try to ask these questions and they don't answer, and then they ask to have me removed because of their false claim of being disruptive as opposed to them not performing and being negligent, then you can stand there and say, excuse me, but you have no right to ask Mr. Garza this. He's simply following up so that I can feel safe and so that we can go through your perfect world illusion that they are affording me what is correct.
Do you wish to make an OCC complaint today?
I wish to follow up on, my rights as far as giving a statement in a public place. So you're telling me that based on their policies, I'm going to be denied my ability to give them my statement and everything else in a public area with me videotaping because of their Hobbesian's choice, which they have not quoted you a law for.
I've told you what OCC has told me.
Policy. They have not quoted you a law, correct?
Okay. So that's
correct.
all I can say.
Have they quoted you a law that they base that policy on?
How else can I assist you today, sir?
You can answer the question that I've asked you directly. Have they quoted
I have
you a law?
that question.
Have they quoted you a law? Can
No.
you give me that section? No, they have not quoted you a law.
How else can I assist you today?
All right. Secondly, in addition to this OCC complaint, we talked about on video that we were going to push up the methodology and how it's a culture of corruption, which is what I'm proving right here, because basically, your hands are tied and my legal rights are being screwed over by a procedure which is not based in law.
So, in the past, I've recommended that you seek legal counsel that might be able to assist you, and you said that you weren't able to obtain legal counsel, right?
No, I said justice was for the rich, and if you desire to pay for it, since I'm a poor person, and I spoke to you about I explained to you about going through Sybil Gideon and David Chu's office and what a farce that was, in regard to, the false bogus restraining order that was used against me by the Department of Public Health on 8/15/2012. The reason I'm continuing to push up this culture of corruption. Yes, I have turned over every stone, just like I've turned over every stone coming to you with this falsehood about being in a safe zone while you're pushing me into a rigged system at OCC. And when I ask you to quote me the law that they're standing behind, you can't, and yet I'm supposed to be feeling like I'm safe and that I've been respected and dealt with honestly and compassionately. When I've pointed out to you as a rational individual how it's flowcharted to fail, and you just telling me, you can't do anything, your hands are tied, that's just the way it is, like I said, does not give me a safe feeling whatsoever. Secondly, like I said, we were speaking about this culture of corruption, why this is an illegal 5150, you said you were going to push it up internally, what's come of that?
Your hearing for the discovery of information is or has been forwarded to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. I believe that the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force will review the documents pertaining to your illegal 5150 or the request for those documents.
That's a separate issue.
Handed over to
That's
you.
a separate issue. Last time when I was in and we spoke on video, I told you that this was a twofold issue in this particular case because of the culture of corruption. The fact that the doctor, correct, and that the fact that the doctor told me that this is a way that they always seem to do it because, if you're poor and can't afford an attorney, and you said you were going to push that part up, which is what I had tried to continue.
That was done through OCC complaint number 130785205, where you filed a complaint against the police officer for his illegal 5150 of you from Northern Station. Right?
You mean the one that I can't give a statement in? So there will be no progress on this whatsoever.
So
It'll be a closed case.
You can give a statement.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. I cannot give a statement in a public place and videotape.
You can't give a statement the way you want to give the statement.
Excuse me. Am I disallowed by law to do it that way?
Their policy is...
You didn't answer the question. And am I disallowed by law in doing it that way?
That they will accept your...
So their policy is violating my rights under law. So their policy is violating my rights under law, because there's no law that says I can't do it that way as far as me doing it in a public place and giving them, and videotaping. Correct?
I'm not aware of one.
Thank you.
But
so then why is that being circumvented?
Does not exist.
Oh, well, then I need for you to look for it then if one does, because apparently they weren't able to quote you the law that they base their incorrect policy on to circumvent my rights.
Mr. Erick Baltazar of the OCC has informed me that their policy is that they will be happy to accept your statement
I understand the spin.
Audio tape.
I understand the spin. And I have informed you that by law, legally, I should be allowed to give it in the public place in my way, and I've asked you whether or not there's a law that disallows that, other than this rigged policy, which is...
you have to do it that way?
Is there a law that says I can't?
Is there a law that says you can?
Yes. To be able to complain, redress, and everything else. I believe it's a constitutional right to go to your government and seek proper redress. Correct.
You can make your complaint via audio tape.
No, sir. I can do it in a public place.
What's the difference between audio and video?
Answer that question. What is the difference between audio and video? Why can't they come out? Exactly. Point blank.
Why are you...
Answer that question, sir.
Mr. Garza, if you start standing up out of your chair, I realize you can't see his portion of what he's doing right now. When you start stepping out of your chair and moving your face closer to me, we're going to end this conversation. All right?
I understand. I'm leaning forward, to make eye contact with you and to, be on the same level. But I understand. I understand. I will.
This conversation will end if you continue that.
All right. So would you please answer my question?
I can't answer policy for someone else.
Excuse me. This is the police station. You can't answer policy for the police station?
It's not a police station.
It's OCC isn't part of the police station. It doesn't investigate the police.
They are their own entity. They were designed to investigate us. So we have no connection with the OCC other than they are governed by the...
All right, so when I call you for civil standby to go down with me so that I can give them my statement in a public place and videotape, and then they deny me that, you can stand there and be witness to that.
But you're going to put that on video.
Correct.
So why do I need to be there?
Because that way, when they call their security and say that I'm being disruptive, you can protect my rights. Because, up until now...
But if you're in the building...
Correct.
Not in their office, right?
Well, I don't know what you mean by that.
The public lobby?
You mean the elevator up, and then there's a door that lets you into their place, and then behind that door they have an office that's behind closed doors? Is that what you're talking about? The place where they have the plaques with all the commissioners and everything else? That's the public place, correct?
No.
That's
their office.
So that's not the public place?
Mm-hmm. The public place would be their building and their lobby.
You mean the lobby outside that door? So that little seating area that they have isn't their public place?
The seating area.
Yeah, you walk in, you walk out of the elevator, there's like a little foyer section, and then there is an office door that says, 700 or whatever their number is, OCC. You open that door, and, there's an enclosed area where you sit, like magazines and everything, which leads you to believe it's a public office, like a doctor's office. And then there's a partition that's closed off and locked doors, and, you go and you speak to the partition, and they come out from behind closed doors. So the area that's right there in front of that...
That would not be a public area.
That's not a public area.
That's inside the building. That's their offices.
So it's not a public office for a public building and a public service like this, like right here. This is not a public area. This is not a public office.
This room is not a public area. right? No one.
Well,
from the
no.
public
You've
could.
invited me in here
I
to
did.
use it for the public. I'm imagining
Right?
it is a
It-
public
no,
area
it's
because we're
not.
using it
Because
under those
just because I
terms.
asked you to come in here does not make this a public
Okay,
area.
so you're telling me
brought
that I
you-
can't even go in the door at 700 then?
No,
and
you,
videotape.
You can go in there and ask for services. You
And not
ask
videotape
them-
because it's not a public
No,
office,
you're-
correct?
But you're asking them for the interview, correct?
No. I want to be sure I'm not breaking the law. If you're telling me that that's not a public office and I can't videotape in there, then I can't go past that door to videotape, to me ask them anything behind their partition to even get access. Because the only way you get access is to go up to that partition, not at the door. They don't come to the door, and let you in. The door is open for you to go in and you go up to this partition, which is where I was led to believe that the services to be received. But if you're saying that the whole thing is a private office, well, then they need to come to the door.
You're welcome to go up to that door, if I am understanding the area correctly, to say that you need services.
So the door, 700. The door right
Okay.
out here in the hallway, 700. But I'm not allowed to go in because you're saying that's their private office. So somebody who's behind a partition, 15 feet away is supposed to come out to the door to service me, as opposed to, me going in and all these vacant seats for people to sit down and go up to the window and seek service, because it does say, ring the bell at the window for service. So, you're telling me that, I can't even walk in here because it's a private office and I can't videotape.
You're welcome to go in there to get assistance.
Well, then can I videotape? Is it a public office, or am I breaking the law by walking in and videotaping in what I think is a public place? Because if it's a private office, then they need to come out and speak to me out here, because I'm not trying to get over.
But, Mr. Garza, aren't you trying to get this case adjudicated?
You would have to define adjudicated in a rigged
You're-
system.
Mr. Garza, you're trying to get this complaint investigated.
Like I tried priorly with the bogus restraining order that the rigged system didn't allow me, and I'm trying to point out how it's rigged. You are absolutely correct.
You're trying to get this case investigated. You're trying to give a statement as to your portion of this investigation, correct?
In addition to pointing out how the system is rigged to fail, because I've done this before and I wasn't allowed a statement before, which is the reason that the other case supposedly wasn't handled correctly. And then when I went to follow up and ask for the law and the procedures and everything, I was escorted out. I was not given due process.
Who did you speak to at the OCC?
It's on video. Watch the videos.
Do you have a name?
They're all on videos. Those who dared to give me their name, who weren't hiding behind, covering their face up.
No names.
It's on the videos.
Without me going through the videos, do you have a name by chance?
Well, Jesus.
Do any come to mind?
Well, I believe Bob was the person you spoke of. Came out once and asked me to leave because I was being disruptive.
Okay.
Also, the person who, didn't take the complaint, but
do I
assured
have-
me he was interested in taking the complaints and
Do I
everything else.
have your permission to give Mr. Baltazar your phone number and ask him to contact you so you can try to set up an appointment with their office in order to conduct this interview?
In their office, in the public place, so that I can videotape. Is that what you're
I'll
allowing me to do?
ask them.
That's fine.
how
I
this
understand
would
what
be
you're asking for.
arranged.
However, I do not want a phone call, because then it becomes a case of he said, she said. Yes, you may
No,
give him my email
what
address.
What we're trying to do is we're
You will
trying to
give
set
it-
up a meeting, right?
Fine.
Okay.
So give him my email address,
Email address.
and that way we'll have documentation of us attempting to do
How about
this
writing your email address down for me?
in a rational way, and to still be, screwed by bad procedure, knowingly and willingly that the procedure is set up to be incorrect, bad, and unaccountable. It's basically flowcharted into not working, which is what I've already proven by my first complaint, which I wasn't allowed.
Is that a T?
Yeah, Jason Grant Garza, which I basically wasn't allowed during my first complaint. And then, here's a good example. When, I wasn't allowed that was partial of the response that I got, trying to elevate it to Joyce Hicks, who is the director, and to say, well, excuse me, I wasn't allowed to give my statement, and you're saying that because I didn't give my statement, you can close the case. It's rigged. Rigged to high hell. And I'm saying, no, you disallowed me my ability to give the statement. You've denied me the due process, which is what you're there for. And then when you try to appeal, they say, oh, well, no, I'm the director and I can decide that there's no appeals and boo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Mr. Garza, can I make a copy of this?
Sure. I don't want you to make a copy of, my notes because, of course, every time I spoke to them, I took notes to prove that it was rigged to fail and why and everything else because, like I said, I'm not the failure.
Can I have just the...
Yeah, that's what I'm giving you right now.
All right.
And then, when I tried to follow up and go in, of course, once again, they have me escorted out because that's, once again, they're denying me my rights. That's why I asked for these civil standbys. It's repeatedly, and it's also on video for you to see in the whole world. That's if they really cared about catching the perpetrator. No problem. And of course, naturally, I have every day I call the Times, the runaround that I was given, the no response and no follow-up. So it's not based on me not doing everything correctly. It's based on the fact that they don't have to do anything correctly and can throw you into a rigged system. So, we talked about...
Mr. Baltazar by email. Give him your email and ask him to contact you to arrange this interview.
And if that fails, then what? If his option is you can have your interview, but it has to be behind closed doors and audio tape, then what?
So why can't we do that so you get your statement done? And so
why can we not violate my rights and allow me to give it in a public place as I'm allowed to by law, since there isn't any law that says I can't?
But Mr. Garza, if we want this adjudicated, in other words, if we want this investigated, and we want the 5150 issue done, why don't we...
Because I want it done correctly.
But you want it done...
And by doing it your way, it's incorrect. So, no.
How is it incorrect?
Because it disallows anyone else in the future, to be able to do it in a public place like they're allowed by law. I just answered your question. You don't accept it.
There's no law there.
That's correct. So there's no law that says I can't do it my way.
Mr. Garza.
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
So you didn't answer the question. What happens when he, says, I can only give you the rigged methodology here that you've already proven is rigged?
I don't have a response to that.
Naturally. But, once again, I'm asking the right question.
Okay, Mr. Garza.
And yes, now remember, there's other things. There's other civil standbys going to San Francisco General Hospital because I don't want them to pull the same thing that OCC's been pulling, by denying me my rights. San
Francisco General Hospital, it's to get your documents, right?
To get my documents and to go down to patient advocacy and to be able to videotape me giving them my complaints against how rudely I was treated by their staff. Because what they'll do is they'll have their sheriff escort me out, and the sheriff won't even quote me the correct law or anything else because it's rigged also. So this is my point. I'm not the failure, Mr. Yamaguchi. I know I'm asking all the right questions. I used to do computer programming. I know when something is set to fail. I used to do system analysis, and I can point out all the weaknesses. And I am. There is nothing wrong or illegal about me giving my statement in a public place and videotaping, whatsoever. So, I just want my rights enforced and be able to go from there. Oh, and the follow-up, like I said, about the internal part of this investigation, the corruption and how this was allowed to happen, the bad 5150, the fact that the cameras weren't working, the fact that I can't get any policies from legal in regard to, the operation of the cameras.
Okay, Mr. Garza, I'll ask those questions.
And when will I be able to contact you? Next week?
I have no idea when I'll get a response.
Oh, well, that's unacceptable, so I'll follow up next week. Thank you.